Okay, so this is my daughter, Tantalacia Bailey, and I'm going to ask her a few questions just so we can get an insight on how family members feel, you know, deal with a family member having diabetes. Okay, so Tantalacia, after I called you, because we don't want to repeat the same thing, and you realized that I was having a seizure and I was back on the floor convulsing, foaming from the mouth, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Just giving your own words.
My initial reaction was to not let you choke because your mouth was clamped down, and I know that they say people, when they're having seizures, they can choke on their tongues. So I wanted to try to get your mouth open, but you wouldn't open your mouth. I spent like 5-10 seconds trying to do that. Then I called 911 on one phone and my grandmother on the other, and was speaking to both. And while the ambulance was on the way, they were telling me to move you to your side and to turn you to your side so that we can get you to breathe right because you weren't breathing correctly. So
how was I breathing?
It was a labored, like it was like almost like that commercial with the guy. With
Yeah, the one I hate. Yeah.
Okay. So I was just trying to get you to breathe right and trying to get you to wake up.
So what was emotionally, how did you feel at the time or right after?
At the time, I couldn't feel anything because I wouldn't let the panic. If I would have panicked, then I wouldn't have been any type of help to you. So I didn't panic. All I could think about was helping you at the time. But after that, I was just like, wow, this. In a split second, you were talking to me, asking me to stop you from stop the pain in your leg, and then the next minute you're like completely unconscious on the floor. That's just in that second. In those seconds, you could have been dead. So it was just like. Wow, did this really just happen? I never expected something like that to happen.
Okay. So you, you know, of course, was in the front of the ambulance. What were you feeling then? Were you thinking that I was going to die? Did you keep looking back? What were the EMTs doing?
I did keep looking back. Like, I just had to look back to make sure you were okay. But when we were in the ambulance, I was kind of feeling okay because they were asking you questions and you were answering them. Now, you may not remember that you answered them, but you were answering them and you were answering correctly. They were asking your name and your birth date.
Yeah, so I don't remember that.
You were answering correctly, so you were coming back to consciousness.
Okay, good. Let's go back to when EMTs first came. What were some of the questions that they asked you guys?
They asked, do you do drugs? Have you ever tried drugs? Is it possible that you could have had drugs that night? And the same with alcohol. Then they asked me about any pre-existing conditions and the medications you were on.
Okay. Now, I think you said, or my mom said, they kept asking about that.
Yeah.
And the thing I have with it is, or were they asking that, I wonder, because I'm black? Because I was in a black area? I mean, I can understand them asking it, but I didn't understand when my daughter and my mother, this is, of course, me behind the camera, when they kept asking it. I mean, like, they figured somebody was lying. Only drugs I had was that damn grape Sunkiss and that orange Sunkiss, and it was a drug to me because that's what threw my ass out and had me in a seizure. So I wonder if that is something that they do all the time, or what. But anyway, that kind of ticked me off.
Yeah, but once you answer that question 3 different ways and you get the same answer 3 different times, it's time to stop asking that question. Yeah. And they only stopped asking that question when my grandmother got an attitude with them and told her to just help you.
You know, I should call the ambulance service. Seriously. I called them and gave them my information. I should call them and ask, is that a mandatory thing, or why do they, is that an answer that they want to hear? Did they want us to lie? No, I was not on drugs. But anyway, y'all know me. Well, let's move on. So Tantalacia, what have you done differently since I was about to talk in third person, since your mom had the seizure? You know, what have you done differently, or what would you like to see her do differently since the seizure?
Well, I would like to see her cut back on all sodas, period, and just drink water. She's been doing pretty good with maintaining a good diet, but here and there she has her little snacks. So I wish she could cut those out completely. And when I say snacks, I mean like maybe a McDonald's or something, stuff like that. But she's actually been pretty good with checking her glucose and taking her medicines and being on time with everything. So she's been doing pretty well. Something that I've done differently. I don't know if I have done anything differently, honestly. To tell you the truth, I ask her, or sometimes I check her about the things that she's eating or trying to eat, or saying that she's wanting this or that, or I ask her regularly, did she take her insulin today, or have you taken it on time? Because usually when she doesn't eat and take her insulin on time, she starts to feel sick. So I make sure she takes her stuff on time.
Okay, and what advice or just tips or anything you would say to family members of someone that is diabetic and high blood pressure?
First tip is to have a list of all their medications that they're on, because when the EMTs were asking me what medications she was taking, I couldn't give them a correct answer because I really honestly didn't know. I didn't know the names of them at all, and I had to go searching through her nightstand to find the pill bottles. So always be sure to have a list posted somewhere in your house or in your wallet, or kept somewhere where you can get it easily if necessary, of all the things that they're taking. I would also advise everybody to stay on their family members' back about eating right and doing what they're supposed to do when it comes to having diabetes and taking their medications and everything.
Okay. At any moment during or after or even my hospital stay, did you think I was going to die?
I thought you were going to die in the house after the EMTs got here, and it wasn't just me and my grandmother. You still were unconscious. Your eyes were open and you were looking around. You looked directly at me, and I called your name and you didn't answer. It's like you didn't know who I was. So I was like, is it brain damage? Is she going to die? Is she not going to recognize me? You weren't talking at the time, so will you be able to talk to me again? So when the EMTs are here, that's when I started having those, oh my God, what just happened thoughts.
Right. And that it's funny and it's also emotional, but who was the first person I could look for when I got up?
It was me in the ambulance when she finally came to. The first loud and clear thing that I heard her say, other than answering their questions, but I knew she understood what she was asking, was, where's my daughter?
Where my daughter?
Yeah.
Where my daughter? I had to jump up, y'all, like somebody had to kidnap me when I finally actually came all the way up out of it. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then the next question was, well, where's my mom? So.
Yeah. So that's what I first started asking for, family members and stuff like that. So anything extra you would like to say before we end this?
Just to do your best to take care of your health. That's it.
Are you afraid that you may inherit, because this is hereditary? I hear they say it can't be hereditary, but yes, it is hereditary. Are you afraid of getting diabetes?
I should be, but I'm not really, because I hear my mom tells me all the time, oh, you need to stop doing this or eating that. You're going to have diabetes. It's already hereditary, but I don't listen to her. So I should maybe take heed after seeing her on the floor having a seizure. I should listen to her, and I should start eating right and doing the correct things, healthy eating, exercising, everything, so that I don't inherit it.
And just for the record, you guys, having a seizure can be for many different reasons. Not necessarily a diabetic one. I had a diabetic seizure, but seizures can be caused from a lot of other things. So I don't want every diabetic to think that they're going to have a seizure, but I did have a diabetic seizure because my sugars were high. My body was, out of whack, the electrolytes in my body. So it can happen. And I was almost comatose as well. My doctor said, thank God I didn't go into that. So Tan, do you help your mom give insulin shots?
Oh, no. And she says that I should know, but just like in the situation that happened, I thought that I would be, if anything ever happened like that, I thought that I wouldn't be any type of help, but I feel like I did something right. Yeah. So, I would hope if necessary, I would be able to do that, give the insulin shot. I mean, I know that you have to she gives her insulin shots in her stomach, so I would try to give her shot there, or I would have to call my grandmother upstairs, the certified nurse's assistant upstairs again, to give the insulin shot. Or if it's low, you get they give you the insulin shot when it's too high. So, well, if her blood sugars was low, then I would know to give her some type of something with a little bit of sugar in it to raise it back up so she doesn't feel bad.
Yeah. Okay, Tantalacia, thank you so much. And thank you for acting quickly and without being nervous for me. I really appreciate it, because I don't know if the shoe was on the other foot. I would have been probably screaming, Lace, what's wrong? But I think, you never know what you're going to do until it happens. Maybe I would have been okay to, my first thing is calling 911 to get some help. But I know me, and I probably would not have been, I'd have been too busy hollering and trying to shake her and holler her name. I know that. But now I know.
Because she does it now when she thinks something's wrong and nothing's wrong. She just starts screaming my name.
So yeah, always just get 911 first, okay? Thank you.
You're welcome.